Hello and welcome to netsmithdesign.com. It's Monday, May 4th, 2009. Today we're going to talk about Joomla, the award-winning content management system which enables you to build websites and powerful online applications. Today's post focused a little bit on Joomla and some of the neat little features that are built into it that people who aren't familiar with Joomla can't fully appreciate until they actually see it for themselves. So this screencast is going to be dedicated to tooling around a little bit on the Joomla backend and demonstrating some of the capabilities of the content management system. So here we go. The first thing I talked about in today's post is the fact that you can go ahead and change the entire look of your website at the click of a mouse. Let's see it in action. Here we are at the Netsmith Design Joomla administration panel, and in order to go ahead and change the current layout of the site, which is right here, and actually let's get you a better idea of what the site really looks like. This is our WordPress section of our site where we host our blog, and here is the actual site itself. So let's just say, for example, that we were having a Christmas sale, or just for the heck of it wanted to go ahead and change our site layout and switch over to a different template without losing any of the content that we had currently installed. Well, from the Joomla backend, we would go into our extensions menu, select our template manager. Once there, you can see here that we currently have two templates installed. The first one is our Netsmith design template. Our second one is a default template that comes free with every Joomla install. It's called RUHK Milky Way, authored by Andy Miller. And if we want to change to that particular template, all we need to do is to select it, click on the default icon, which changes the template that's going to be used, and as soon as we reload the main page at netsmithdesign.com, you'll notice that the entire template has changed, and yet all the content is still the same, from the front page message to the home page menu, the footer links, and the header links. And yes, they all still work. Let's click on one and just confirm that. There it is, joomlasites.html. Okay, so this is one of the nicer features of Joomla, and one of the key points about it is that once you've established what template you want to use as your main one for your website, especially if you're running an e-commerce store, you can go ahead and decide what template you want to use for any number of reasons. For example, if you're running a sales promo in the middle of the summer and you wanted to use a more, for lack of a better word, beachy theme, with sand, seashells, and things of that nature, provided that you have the template already authored, which would include programming, design, and so on, you could simply install it, select it, and switch to it, and not worry about losing any of the copy or content that is in your original website. Additionally, if you're running a sale during Christmas time, let's say, and you really want to tailor your website layout and feel to what's going on during particular seasons of the year, you can also do that. And I'll tell you what, coming from an e-commerce background, I will tell you that more than anything else, that is probably the most sought after feature, I guess you'd say, for any kind of content management system. Whether or not you can go ahead and switch easily between themes and preserve the core functionality and content of your website. Good news, folks, Joomla is free, and that functionality is already built in. So let's go ahead and switch this back to Netsmith Design and the template that we had initially installed. Awesome. And we can reload the page here at netsmithdesign.com, and we see that the template has been switched. And again, there's all of our content, navigation, it's all preserved, just looks a little bit different because the template was switched. Okay, so that's the first thing that we had covered in the blog post for May 4th. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next point that was touched on, and that is the login feature for your website, and the fact that sometimes, depending on your platform, again, it can cost hundreds or even thousands of dollars to develop a login feature, especially if it needs to be written from scratch. Good news, folks. Joomla has a bunch of free built-in extensions, just like login, newsletter sign up, and dynamic paging, that are already a part of the CMS. And the developer community that's out there, which can be tapped into by going to joomla.org and looking in the community section, or even in the forums section, has a bunch of really good plugins and modules that you can go ahead and download, once again, for free, most of them anyway, and you can include them into your website so that you don't need to go ahead and hire a web developer and pay thousands of dollars just to go ahead and add a little bit of functionality to your site. So that's another good thing about Joomla, is not only is it free, but the developers out there for Joomla typically like to keep the open source vibe going, and so plugins and extensions typically tend to be free as well. And if they're not and you have to pay for them, it typically isn't really that expensive. Additionally, if you want to pay someone to develop a custom plugin for you, you can also go ahead and do that. And there are enough people out there that can go ahead and do that for you, just by logging into their forums and taking a look around and seeing what's out there. So let's take a look at a site that's using Joomla that has some of those features that were just mentioned. So here we are under the Who Uses Joomla section of the About Joomla page. And you'll notice some pretty prominent names here, including MTV, IHOP, Harvard University. Let's take a look at the Joomla Community Site Showcase, just because I think that there are a couple of other government sites here. And when you see them, you're going to say, wow, there's a lot going on there. Can Joomla really handle that? And the answer is yeah, absolutely. Here we go. Let's take a look at, well, that's not in English, so we'll avoid that one. Let's take a look. I know the UN, yeah, here we go. The United Nations Regional Information Center, unric.org. They're using Joomla as their content management system. Let's go ahead and take a look at the main site. And here it is, folks. As you can see, we have a top nav, left navigation. We've got a search bar, which, by the way, is also part and parcel of the Joomla CMS. You can implement your own search without having to utilize, for example, Google's custom search, which is pretty neat and easy to install, but why bother with the extra work when it's